Hello, hello, and welcome to Arcana Indexed. Here, each week, we are taking a deep dive into Unearthed Arcana subclass options released for Dungeons & Dragons 5.24. We talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the subclass, and what changes you might want to consider making if you wanted to use the subclass at your table now instead of waiting for the full published release. Today, we're going to be diving into the Hollow Warden Ranger that was released in the 2025 Horror Subclasses Unearthed Arcana document. And between the last couple weeks, if you have any Halloween one-shots coming up, hopefully I've highlighted a subclass or two that will work thematically. The flavor text for the Hollow Warden is incredibly cool. It says, "Legends tell that the most ancient and fearsome terrors lurk deep within the old places of the earth. Unfathomable and bloodthirsty entities of fallow soil and sharpened claw. Hollow Wardens venerate and draw power from such beings, transforming themselves into similarly merciless and monstrous guardians that stalk along jagged coastlines and across steep mountain crags and through other dark and wild places." I absolutely love the feel and thematics of this subclass. It's one of the coolest themes for any ranger we have seen to date. But let's see if the mechanics can keep up. First, we will get into the Hollow Warden spells. For those that don't know, some Ranger subclasses now get a list of always prepared spells, the same way that Paladins and Clerics got in the 2014 rules. In the 2024 Player's Handbook, the Gloomstalker and Fey Wanderer got those spells, but the Hunter and Beastmaster got left out. At 3rd level, the Hollow Warden gets Wrathful Smite. This is one of the new Smite spells. It takes your bonus action to add 1d6 necrotic damage, and if the target fails a saving throw, they are frightened for 1 minute, but can repeat the saving throw every round. An important improvement for this spell is that it no longer requires concentration, meaning it works alongside Hunter's Mark, which as a ranger, and this ranger in particular, is very important. It does, however, compete for the use of your bonus action. At 5th level, we get Spike Growth. This is a great spell, especially for rangers who have access to weapon masteries. It's particularly effective if it's combined with the Push weapon mastery, allowing you to push targets through the spike growth and cause them to take damage from the thorns. I will say, even though this is a great spell for any ranger, while it is incredibly thematic for this ranger, it's not particularly synergistic with the other features that we'll get into in a second. At 9th level, we get Phantom Steed. This is a spell that is typically reserved for wizards, but again, it's super thematic for this ranger. It's a good way to help with overland travel, which can be a useful thing. An important change in 2024 is that now all spellcasters can ritual cast. So this spell being cast as a ritual is really important for a ranger because they have much more limited spellcasting available. The downside of this spell being available for a half caster is that at the same level, wizards and bards are casting Teleportation Circle. And 2 levels from when you get this spell, druids and bards can cast Transport via Plants and Windwalk, largely making overland travel a non-issue in most campaigns. So while it is good, it gets outclassed very quickly. Also, usually this spell has some good combat applications. The Conjured Horse being large will really hamper its use due to the fact that your mount will take up half of the emanation that you'll get with your level 3 features, meaning it will be harder to get as many creatures in it. But the increased movement will likely mean that you can better place yourself on the battlefield. So it really just depends on what the situation is. At 13th level, we get Hallucinatory Terrain. This is a very situational spell, but the situation where it comes up does seem to happen quite a bit. I've said this before, but I actually really like this spell on an always prepared spell list. At level 17, we get Awaken. This is an extremely expensive spell. The component costs 1,000 gold pieces, and its usefulness leaves a lot of interpretation to the GM. It's one of those spells that could either break your game by having dozens of awakened trees following your party around, or it could not come up at all. Overall, the spells here will come up, and they are very on brand for this subclass, and will probably increase the fun at your table, and that's what we're all here for. On to the class features. At level 3, we get Wrath of the Wild. This lets you transform whenever you cast Hunter's Mark, and the transformation lasts until the spell ends. While transformed, you get 2 benefits, and you will get more benefits as you level up. First up, we get Ancient Armor. This feature lets us add our Wisdom modifier, minimum of +1, to our armor class. This is a great feature. If we're a sword and board ranger with a +3 to wisdom and have scale mail, that could push our armor class up to 21. It can get higher with more dedicated features, but you'll be giving up other things. I know a lot of other creators have said that this feature is overpowered, but I don't actually think it is. Maybe this is a bad take, but I don't think that features that can push your character into incredibly powerful territory are necessarily bad features. Yes, if you have the Ancient Armor feature, you play a Warforged, take the Defensive Fighting Style feat, are wearing half plate and a shield with a Wisdom of 20, take the Origin feat Magic Initiate Wizard for the shield spell, and at level 4 take the Medium Armor Master feat, you could end up with an armor class of 31, which is kind of crazy, no doubt about it. However, this isn't actually much better than the theoretical strong armor classes that were already available. The Battlesmith Artificer could do similar things to push their AC up to super high values. The problem is, if you aren't doing a lot of damage or other things that make your enemies want to target you, they could pretty safely just ignore you. In order to get to this level, you had to sync your species, your subclass, your fighting style, your origin feat, and your first ASI. Also, in order to get here, you have to use your concentration. So, at least at my table, if you're willing to sink all those resources into getting a high AC, that's all yours. Okay, off my soapbox. At this level, while Hunter's Mark is going, you also get Unnerving Aura. This says when an enemy starts their turn within a 10-foot emanation from you, they have to make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, and if they fail, they can only take an action or a bonus action, not both on their turns. This is a decent feature, but honestly, a lot of monsters don't have bonus actions. Also, it doesn't apply if they enter your emanation, they have to start their turn there. Also, as a ranger, often your spell save DC isn't as high as a full caster save DC is. I know there's a possible way around this, but I'm going to save that discussion for the final thoughts at the end of the video. At level 7, we get Hungering Might. This says we can add our Wisdom modifier to our Constitution saving throws. This is really good because if we lose our concentration on Hunter's Mark, we kind of lose our subclass. The second part of Hungering Might says that once per turn, when we are transformed by Wrath of the Wild, are bloodied, and we hit with an attack roll, you could regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your Wisdom modifier. This feature will definitely come up and is good. At level 11, you get 2 more benefits, while transformed by your Wrath of the Wild feature. First, you get an Eerie Aura. This says that when a creature fails their saving throw imposed by your Unnerving Aura, they also take poison, necrotic, or psychic damage equal to your ranger level. Second, you get Strangling Roots. This says that when you hit a creature with an attack roll using a weapon, you can apply the Sap or Slow Mastery in addition to the mastery property of the weapon you are using. I also like this feature quite a bit. The little bit of damage from your Eerie Aura will definitely add up, and getting to apply more weapon masteries is always good. Finally, at level 15, you get Persistent Hunt. This says when you're dropped to 0 hit points while transformed, you can expend a 4th level or higher spell slot to change your hit points to 5 times the level of the spell slot you expended. I do like that this feature changes your hit points instead of regaining hit points. This clears up what happens with your concentration so you don't lose the features of your transformation. It is limited by the number of 4th level and above spell slots that you have. So at this level, that is 2, and it goes up to 5, 3 4th level spell slots and 2 5th level slots. You also get immunity to exhaustion at this level. And this does have some amazing downtime uses, but it's not going to break your game. Overall, this is an interesting subclass. On the surface, it can seem like there's a lot going on, but overall, it's actually a very simple subclass. Yes, it's extremely reliant on Hunter's Mark, but I honestly don't see that as a bad thing. I know with the new Ranger, there are a lot of people saying that it's too reliant on Hunter's Mark, but I like that this subclass is extremely simple to play. You use Hunter's Mark and you make attacks while your transformation does its work. There's a more complicated build with using Shillelagh so that you can keep your hit chance high while also boosting your saving throw DC, but you will run into a traffic jam with your bonus action, in that you are casting Hunter's Mark on your first turn to get your transformation going, then casting Shillelagh on round 2 and starting to make your wisdom-based attacks. If you are at a table that allows continuous castings of Shillelagh, that will help make it a little bit more seamless, but I just wanted to address it. The other thing is, if you like the options for summoning on the Ranger spell list, you probably won't like this subclass. It definitely isn't for everyone, but I am glad that subclasses like this exist. In a way, this is actually kind of close to the champion fighter, where almost all of your class features are passive features that turn on with your transformation when you cast Hunter's Mark. So, the bottom line, I think I would absolutely allow this subclass at my table as is. Is there potential for abuse in this subclass? Absolutely. But honestly, there's an entire genre of YouTube channels dedicated to abuse of subclass, class features, and spell combinations. So if that's what you're looking for, this subclass isn't any more broken than a lot of those combinations. But if you use this subclass to build a balanced character, you will still have a very good time. But you tell me, what are your thoughts about this subclass? Would you allow it at your table? If you enjoyed today's video, I would love it if you would consider subscribing or leaving a like on the video. But if not, thanks for stopping by and watching anyways. And until next time.